on jobs, because there's no more important issue in this campaign than jobs. Either the voter's out of work, or his brother-in-law's out of work, or we all know somebody who's out of work, probably has been for a long time. People are angry about that. That's the overwhelming theme of this election, not just in Massachusetts, but nationwide. Government isn't bailing people out. They probably lost their company pensions. They're angry. And as I say, government's not bailing them out, they're bailing out the big banks, Wall Street, the car companies. They're angry, Governor, at incumbents because they don't see government working for them. Why aren't they right?
Well, you know, I went out a few weeks ago to a jobs club in Quincy. Do you know what a jobs club is? Charlie, they're groups of unemployed folks that get together and they support each other, encourage each other, and they meet in the career centers around the Commonwealth. And this one jobs club was meeting at the local IHOP, the International House of Pancakes. About 20 people. They've been out of work a year and a half. And I sat with them, and each one told their story, and every single one of them has done everything they were supposed to. They went to work every day, they looked after they did the job, they looked after their families, saved what they could. And then one day they got a visit from the boss saying that on account of this economy, we can't keep you anymore. Now these are the folks that everybody tells me are angry, but none of the folks I met there were angry. What they are is scared. They're really worried.
And the people who have jobs are scared.
Actually, that's also right.
But I went back and looked at the numbers, Governor. This state has fewer residents today working than it did 4 years ago when you took office. The number of people who are unemployed is almost double what was in 2007, January 2007. And the rates of unemployment has gone from 4.6 to 8.4%. That's on your watch.
And it's been a global economic collapse, and I don't think any one of us has prevented that from happening. But nobody is working harder to get us out of this than I am. We're at 8.4% we had in September, the largest single drop in the unemployment rate in over 30 years. We're not done. I'm not declaring victory by any means, but we are making progress. And we're growing, by the way, in those areas that are sweet spots for us, where we have those innovation sectors where we have really focused, and it depends on the investments we've made in education, in innovation, and in infrastructure.
I hear all of you talking about green jobs, infrastructure, removing constraints on small business. I hear you talking about improving education, but those are all long-term initiatives. Give me something you're going to do in the first month of a Baker administration. That's jobs. Right away.
One of the things I hear from small business all the time, Governor, is regulatory policy and red tape. It's not that they dislike the fact there's regulation, it's the fact that regulation is overly complex and constantly in flux. And that affects the way a lot of small businesses make decisions. Day one, moratorium on new regulations, top to bottom review of all existing regulations. Second thing they worry about is tax increases. Most of them know the state has a big budget deficit next year. In fact, everybody knows, for the most part, that the state's facing a $2 billion deficit next year. The governor's the only one who won't actually acknowledge it and point it out. I've put a series of proposals on the table to deal with that, and they are difficult, and they are disruptive, and they are tough, but they are specific, and it's far more than either the treasurer or the governor has put out there to actually solve that problem. You want to get small businesses to start investing in Massachusetts. I had one of them say to me the other day, I'm not making any decisions about hiring anybody in Massachusetts until I get a strong signal from Beacon Hill and from the governor's office that they are not coming back to me for more money.
I read your Baker's dozen. If that's what you're referring to, your Baker's dozen proposals. More than half of those have already been rejected by the legislature.
Some on pretty close votes, and if the governor had been leading the charge on them, I think a bunch of them would have passed.
There's a Republican working with a Democratic administration.
Correct.
A Democratic legislature.
Yeah.
And you'll do better than he will.
I believe I will.
Why?
Because I'm going to lead on some of those issues. I'm going to take the ball and run with it. I'm going to create the context for change. I mean, some of those proposals, actually most of them, neither the treasurer or the governor support. Big piece I put out there on getting serious about being able to contract out services and compete, let private entities compete with the public sector for services. The governor and the treasurer oppose doing that.
Oh, look at that.
All the construction players in Massachusetts the ability to bid on public construction projects. The unions don't like that. The governor and the treasurer are opposed to that. Taking a real hard run at restructuring the waste.
For the privatization and not having government.
Oh, you little rat, Cahill!
Work very well in the big dig, and that's an example that we can look at and say, how's that working? By outsourcing that, you put the private sector in charge of something, they get a percentage of it, and the price went from $2 billion to $15 billion, the biggest most expensive public infrastructure project in the country. What I believe we
Also
need to
done
do,
with the Project Neighborhood.
what I believe we need to do, first of all, what I would do right away to answer your initial question is sign a bill that would expand gaming in the state and create 15,000 jobs right away and bring in money for local aid. People want to invest in this state. The governor failed. Charlie Baker doesn't have a plan and won't put it together. Number two, because everyone says, well, that's a start, but what's your big plan? Is to create entrepreneurial tax relief for people who are starting their own business like I did back in 1982. That's something we can get it off the ground. It's not going to cost a lot in terms of revenue loss because these people aren't working right now. The biggest disappointment in the jobs numbers that came in, even though unemployment went down, we lost more jobs, which means people are dropping out of the workforce. They're just giving up. And we have to address those people.
What are you talking about, Cahill? Nobody's giving up on working.
And Governor, they come at you, you're not taking.
Well, there'll be more of that before the hour is over, I'm sure. First of all, on regulation, we cut the time it takes for state approvals and permits from 2.5 years on average to 6 months. In taxes, we've cut taxes for businesses, started down last year and we'll go down the next couple. Let me just finish the point, and cut capital gains as well. And the answer to the biggest answer to the budget for the coming year, and the biggest critique actually of that budget, is that we use rainy day funds and federal stimulus funds to maintain essential services at a time of crisis. That's exactly what they're for. And we are, because we've made the investments in growth, getting the growth in revenue as well. $200 million over benchmark.
Before I leave this point, I just know I have some time.
Yeah.
But I want to know what you're going to do right away. Right away.
Right away, I will take $200 million, which is sort of waiting to be spent right now from the governor's office on shopping malls and office parks, which is one approach to jump-starting the economy that we've talked about this before, that I think is not justified, doesn't work. We have a glut of shopping malls and office parks with high vacancy rates already. I'll create a revolving loan fund right then and there, because there are businesses that are ready to get started and to expand in the area of green jobs. These are jobs that pay for themselves, so the loan gets repaid right away. You also extend the loan to consumers so they can be weatherizing their homes, doing the deep energy retrofits. They start saving money immediately, that loan gets repaid. I'd also take the $1.4 billion program, which is currently in the hands of the big utilities, and open it up to the small businesses that are ready to move forward. The utility companies have a conflict of interest with moving ahead on efficiency, and they're not. Let's open it up and get it to work. We can create thousands of jobs right out of the bat. With casinos, we'll be waiting for several years to get the permitting and to get them built.
This is such a